Hi students, in this video we will discuss about if else statement. So what is if else statement? In the last videos we have seen about if statement. What is if? If the condition is true, so if the condition is true, it enters into that block and executes the statements of that block. If the condition is true, it enters into that if block and executes the statements of that block. Now if the condition is false, there is no alternate method. Now here we have in if else, what we do here is, if the condition is true, the statements of if block will execute, and if the condition is false, the statements of else block will execute. Now let us see the syntax for if statement. If some condition, then we have the statements of if, then else the statements, then else the statements of else block, the statements of else block. Now what happens here in if else? If some condition, it checks the condition. So condition can be a greater than b, a less than b, or anything. So here it checks the condition. If it is true, control enters into this if block, then it will not check the else block, it will not go to the else block. And if the condition is false, if it is true, it enters into this if block, then it will not execute else block. If it is false, then it directly goes to the else block. When it will go to the else block? Only if the condition is false. Only if the condition is false, then directly it goes to the else block and executes the statements of else block. Here what happens is, at a time the statements of either if block or else block it will execute, but both the statements will not be executed. That is if else. So I will repeat once again. So what is if else? It is also known as two-way selection. This if else is also known as, we call it as two-way selection. Now what happens in if else? So if the, even though the condition is false, if the condition is false, the statements of else block will execute. Okay, now there are some rules we need to follow. That is, for one if we can have only one else part. For one if we can have only one else part. And the other important point is, there should not be any other statements, there should not be any other statements between if block and else block. There should not be any other statements. That is, the meaning of this is, immediately after completion of if, we have to start else block. Then this if else is also known as two-way selection. It is also known as two-way selection. That is why it is called, because if the condition is true, the statements of if block will execute, and if the condition is false, the statements of else block will execute. That is if else. At a time any one block will execute, either if block or else block. Now let us see one example to find greatest among two numbers using if else. So here what we need to do, declare the to find greatest among two numbers, declare two variables from the user, then accept two numbers from the user, enter the first number, then scanf %d comma ampersand, accept the first number from the user, then similarly enter the second number, store that value in a variable called b. Now here write the condition, if a greater than b, Tell me which is big. A is big. Printf, display the message A is big. Suppose if A greater than B is false, then we need to write the else part. Then the statements of else block will execute. B is big. This is using if else ma. If the condition is true, statements of if block will execute. If it is false, else block statements will execute. But both will not be executed. Now let us save this program, compile and run the program. Enter the first number 10, 20. B is big. Now let us run this program once again. Compile and run the program. Enter the first number 33, 22. Displays A is big. Now let me trace and show you the same program in Turbo C++. So let me trace the program. Let us see what happens here. Here we have the program. So let me trace the program. So here we have initially A and B. A and B contains garbage values. Now accept the first number from the user. Enter A value 10, then B value 5. 10 and 5. Now check the condition here. Here even you can check A greater than B. So it is true, so the result is 1. That is true, so it enters into this block, displays the message A is big. Then it will not go to else part. Now again, so trace your program. Now suppose enter the first number 20 and the second number 10. Sorry, 100 you take. So 20 greater than 100, false. So it goes to else part, displays B is big. Okay, thank you. We'll see you in next video. So if you like the video, please like it and subscribe the video and share with your friends. Thank you.